Pardon the eruption. I'm Hunter Z Infected, and I'm here with.
Welcome back, guys. My name is Ace Trainer Josh, and welcome back to another episode of Pardon the Eruption.
Now, Josh, tell me your biggest week one surprise of this season.
So jumping straight into it, I'm gonna have to go with Devin beating L5, and I'm gonna have to go with this because if you do watch the game, Devin's early game was basically perfect. He got almost every turn correct, whether it be L5 hard switching a Pokemon and predicting what was coming in, or just whatever attacking what was in front of him. He got almost every point correct, and he played a pretty solid game, brought the right mons to check out everything, and he just played a much cleaner game and a much better prep game, I would say, than L5.
Okay.
Even with missing Toxic.
So you're saying that Devin shouldn't have won? Like, him winning was a huge surprise to you? Like, that much of a surprise to you?
I think L5 is one of the greatest to ever play in DPO.
That is high praise. Hey, you know what?
I forget what's... Yeah?
You know what? I can't even speak bad on L5. Not that I was going to, but, I was with him in that Tangang season. He's fire. So continue.
I forget the season where he wasn't a coach, but I think he went for like 30-some K.
That was the Tangang season. He wasn't a coach.
Everybody values him pretty high. So for Devin to just ultimately whip him, I think was quite surprising. Like, I'm going to put it out there. He completely whipped them. Outside of Alolan Persian and trolling in front of that thing, he played really good. So shout out to my boy Devin. Yeah.
Dang. So I just can't believe you have Devin winning as such a surprise, as your biggest surprise.
It's more like the fact that he whipped them so hard is the biggest surprise.
I see.
I expected a better game.
My biggest surprise is how the losers lost this week, right? So let me explain. Danger Zone. We have them against Ghost and Majorities. They lose 2-5. Not too surprising of a result. Kind of what I expected. I'm surprised that Finch lost, and I'm kind of surprised at who actually won their games. TCMTL also almost lost his game against Sun. And then Odin beating Hacker, I'm not too surprised there. But then they just got wiped everywhere else, and it just didn't feel like a close series. And then Old Heads, among some of the other people, they were saying that Old Heads were supposed to be one of the better teams. They get wiped 1-6. Didn't feel close either. As for Hungry Men, I'm surprised they didn't lose harder from how it sounded like they were destructing it. With the whole 100p glop and economical whatever happened there. But looks like Zern's win over Hiker Toad and the win over Toxic kind of helped. Made them look not as bad. But like the rest of their team, I don't know what they're doing with the rest of their team. And real quick, Wig just blew it. That was all. Those losses were just surprising to me, the way each team lost.
Yeah, there was a lot of it was very skewed week, very lopsided.
Yeah,
on a lot of sides.
Now moving on, what do you think was the best game of the season, Josh?
Well, for game of the week so far, I guess this is the best game of the season. I guess when you put it that way, but I have to put it to Ian versus Baby Eric.
Oh, did I say season?
Yeah, technically you're not wrong because it's been 1 week, but either way,
I meant best game of week one.
During this game, Ian very early on had to play with a completely useless Donphan because it caught an ice beam to the face and got the 10% roll of getting frozen.
Hey, I said this to you earlier. That was one of the most well-played frozen mons of all time.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever seen somebody pivot around with a frozen Pokemon any better than Ian did. And not just that, but there was a couple turns with his Mew, for example, where he clicked Taunt on the other Mew, and Ian got crit twice in a row with Signal Beam, which forced the Mew to click Roost more often than it needed to, so you couldn't be aggressive. So that was even worse. Not to mention the frozen Donphan couldn't spin away Stealth Rock, and keep in mind, Ian has a Mega Charizard, so he had to play really cautiously around it, especially since we found out it was the WinCon. But ultimately, that win con of Mega Charizard X just won the game by itself, which was extremely impressive on my end.
Yeah, that was fire. But I'm gonna have to give it to, and I know you like this battle, Rye versus Chip. I think first of all, I gotta say I think Chip kind of choked a little at the end. I think this game shouldn't have been as close as Chip let it be First of all, he almost got swept by Infernape, but Pillow Swine lived a close combat somehow at like 68%. And then towards the end of the game, he almost got swept by Scarf Mamo, which was that was funny. I thought when I was first watching the replay, I thought he did get swept.
Yeah.
So if he didn't let it get as close, it probably wouldn't have been as great of a game. But you know what? Chip played the way he needed to win, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So that's all I have to say about that game. I don't know if you have any comments about it.
I don't know. I thought the Ian game was like not just one of the best games of the week, but one of the better games I've seen him play probably ever. And he was
Ian
my
himself.
teammate before. Yeah, he was my teammate before, so I already viewed him pretty high as a player. But this game like really catapulted my view on him as a player.
Okay, and now, so I know we were just talking about that Chip game, but Wings of Wrath versus Wigglytuff's Guild. How about that series?
So where do I even start? So for y'all who don't know, Wake had a 3-1 series lead on the Wings of Wrath, and the three players that had um, that Wake had remaining was Henrik,
Is that true?
Lux, and GCS. Yeah, they had a 3-1 lead.
Wasn't that 3-2?
No, it was 3-1. Pretty
No,
sure.
I think the Henrik Kakrik game happened before Ryan Chip.
But they lost 3 in a row, right? So wasn't it 3-1? It had to have been. They lost 3 in a row.
No,
it had to be 3-1.
No, Kakrik was before the Rye Chip game, and Chip won. So they were up 3-2.
Oh, okay. Okay, so not as bad, but either way,
Nah, but the way they lost.
The GCS game was possibly one of the worst games I've ever seen in any format ever. Like the fact that he had a rotom click trick to the Ayapapa. No, he had the rotom click to trick the Ayapapa berry to the superior, which ultimately meant the superior lived because of screens. And yeah, no, that's just horrible. And then fundamentally,
I didn't know we had a DPL G League. Honestly,
no, this is like this is like G League level play, dude. And also, just a fundamental error in prep, in my opinion, was Lux bringing a Sped F Hydra without any sort of like setup like Nasty Plot, meaning Combine Horse got to beat the Hydra because it couldn't set up alongside it. Ultimately, meaning they got 6-0'd. I thought that was just really bad. I don't know how you don't bring Nasty Plot in that situation. What are your thoughts exactly
on the series? You know. So there was that fire game between Ryan and Chipborn. I didn't actually finish completely watching the Sablo Phil game. I just know Phil won. I saw it was kind of a longer game. I also heard Sablo kind of choked. It seemed there's a lot of choke jobs or just 6-0s in this series as a whole. And that was kind of
choking's prominent. Choking's pretty prominent though in this league. It's like bound to happen like every week.
Hey, I'm the biggest choke though was that Kakrik Henrik game, not because Henrik like clicked the wrong move, but because he didn't click any move.
No, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like something I did want to bring up after you finish. Go on.
Absolutely no reason that should happen in a game. Losing the timer.
Something I do want to know, and this is all assuming he's Scarf Cart. I actually have no idea if it is, but I'm just going to assume it was. Henrik had 20 seconds to literally click anything with Tapu Koko, and Scarf Cart won anyways. If not Scarf Cart, then the Let's Go in the back won anyways too. And he didn't click anything in 20 seconds. Like, that's just inexcusable. I don't know how you like recover from that.
I would give Henrik another shot, but man, if something like that happens again, I don't know what I would do if I were a Swig.
I agree.
So and then L5 just has to be better.
Yeah, L5 can't get completely out prepped in battle and in prep.
He admitted he didn't play that well, or something like he didn't play to his. I don't know. He has to play better though.
But that's what's good about L5 from what I've seen previously. He's very transparent about when he just doesn't play well, and it's good that he's admitting to it.
Just saying, play money guy. He was my underrated player last time we did this.
That's true.
Okay, so now new segment time. Instead of Word Turtle, we're doing Seismic Toss Up. So we're gonna pick between. I'm gonna ask you a question, Josh, and we'll both answer it. and we'll choose between one or the other. So, Josh, who goes 0-7? Danger Zone or
For
Hungry
yeah.
Men?
Okay. I based off what I've heard, based off what I saw, I'm gonna have to unfortunately go Hungry Man. And I hate to say it because I love Max. I think he's a good guy. But the fact that both your top players, 100p and Glop, just I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just refused to play. 100p just seemed to be like trolling and just didn't want to play Toxic for whatever reason. And then with Glop, God only knows what happened. When like your two best players are proven to be just dysfunctional, you have to rely on your other players who unfortunately just are not as talented theoretically as these two players. So it puts you already at a huge disadvantage for probably the rest of the season if you can't get this sorted out. Meanwhile, Danger Zone, they got really good players who I think just didn't play that well this week, and I think they'll probably win sometime down the road, whether it be this week or even the other 5 weeks available. But Hungry Men, they got to figure out what's going on because that was not good what I saw.
I If Zern has a better season than what he had that one 0-9 season or whatever, and 100p is like playing and economical is playing well, and they can get a win from Spitfire and Nerf or something, I think Hungry Men can go, get a win some weeks, maybe two. But I'm still gonna have to say between Danger Zone and Hungryman, I think Hungrymen are more likely to go 0-7 because Danger, kind of like you said, they just had people that didn't perform, and I think they just have the quote unquote better roster. Um, I don't know how much I believe that right at the moment. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna have to wait till week two, maybe even till mids to see how they're doing to like really get my thoughts sorted between those two teams because at the moment, I think most people think they're the bottom two teams, and there's a reason for that. There really is a reason for that, and I know they can't. I know Vino was saying, "Hey, it's week one, doesn't mean anything. It's got to mean something."
Yeah, like I don't know the odds of how your season goes based off losing week one, but the writing's on the wall. Like when you just play that poor, it shows that there's definitely red flags in my
Yep.
opinion.
All right, next toss up. Who do you trust any tiebreaker, Josh? Do you trust Sebi, Rob Jr., and Vess, or would you trust Ian, Pyro, and Pichu more?
Okay, so I do need to clarify that this may be a personal bias because I've teamed up with Pyro and Ian, and they're both my boys. But I have to go with this trio of Pyro, Ian, and Peachy Bros.
Dude, you're
Just
tripping.
because no, but let me explain. Peachy Bros has consistently for like I feel like the past 4 seasons at least has proved to be a very consistent ORAS player, which I think is crucial in a good team, especially in DPL because ORAS is what makes or break in my honest opinion. And Ian, I already mentioned this, had like probably one of the best played games of his career, and he likes to call himself washed up, but I think he's pretty damn good. And Pyronox, I think, is not just like a great player, but a great team presence and a very good prepper. So having him available as like a potential tiebreaker
Okay,
player, I think
okay,
is
okay,
really
okay, okay.
clutch.
Stop right there. Pyro, I know I said he was the most overrated last time. Um, I can't speak much on his team presence. I myself don't personally remember him saying or doing much in terms of a team presence back when we were teammates for like 3 weeks before he got traded at mids. Last season on Pori God Squad. And then as for Ian, he himself is saying like he's just I don't know how he's feeling right now about the game, but he's like, I don't. He dropped out of DGBA when he was like up 4-0 or something. Like, do you realize how just not into the game you have to be undefeated and be like, you know what, I'm done with this league. That's why
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with Sebi Rob Jr. Vess. Sebi is a consistent winner in Sword and Shield. Vess is he had like a couple 2 seasons I think that he just played terribly or something, and then last season he went off. Um, I think he's gonna have more of an up than a down season. Rob Jr. I don't know how much I trust Rob Jr. honestly, but I think I trust Sebi and Vest to be like Ian and Pichu, and I could see Rob Jr. beating Pyro. So I have to go Sebi Rob Jr. Vest in a tiebreaker. All right.
I can't really argue most of his points. So yeah.
So then overall, so toss up. Would you rather be the overall MVP on a team that misses the playoffs, or would you rather be the worst player without a doubt on a championship team?
Okay, so for the guys who don't know, I have never won a championship in a team format. I've been on a lot of bad teams. I've been on a lot of pretenders.
Uh,
So, in
so are you
analyzing
are
this
you saying
question,
Rocky Helmet Virizions was a bad team or a pretender?
I think we were just pretenders, especially at the end. A lot of people just stopped trying. It was kind of unfortunate, but that's a different kind of worms. But I'm gonna have to say MVP of the absolute worst team possible. At least that's what we're saying. Like make it, but like MVP, but don't make playoffs because you can at least have the argument to where you did everything you could in your skill to like carry your team, like basically give guaranteed wins almost every week, but ultimately it wasn't enough to put them on top of the mountain to make the playoffs. Whereas otherwise, you could on the other side, everybody's gonna say you just got carried to a championship winning team.
You
Like
can
I forget if Robert Panda was on a championship winning team, but like
he
I'm sure
was
most people don't credit him
he was
for the
on
win.
KWD, but he was like the best mocker on KWD.
Yeah.
If it's the same Robert Panda, I feel like there's new pandas every week or something. Um, but you can make that argument against overall MVP where it's like, oh, you're like a stat patter on a bad team, like Devin Booker on the 2018 Suns or Westbrook that one season or all his seasons. But like, what you're just getting wins. You prep for yourself. That's what it would look like if you're the overall MVP. Granted, Josh, I agree with you. I would also pick overall MVP on the worst team because I do not want the title of worst player on a championship team. One, because I've already won a championship, right? I don't need that title. But two, I don't want to be labeled as worst player. I'd rather the label overall MVP is what I'm saying. I think it's a better look.
It's a better look. It's a much better look. Even in like sports in general, if you win MVP but your team sucks, shout out to Nikola Jokic. Like you just look like a better guy, you know? Because
Yeah.
it's like, damn, like you can only carry so
All
hard.
right.
Like,
Lightning round time. Ready?
yeah,
All right. Worst DPL debut. Go.
I'm gonna have to give it to Nicholas, who actually faced one of my teammates, TDG. From what I'm gonna assume he's a Smogon player, and they built him, or he built the most Smogon S team ever, just like tailwind spam and hoping you kill your opponent before they do. Either A, they thought the matchup was so bad that was the only way they could win, which I personally don't agree with. I feel like it was just like a very cheap way to try to win the game with somebody who ultimately doesn't have a lot of experience in the draft format. I just thought, and then he played bad too. On top of that, I just didn't
I
think it was the best look.
I'm gonna have to give it to Nerf after that choke of a job against Genius X himself. How do you lose that game when you're up pretty? Maybe not super big, but it's one of those games he shouldn't have lost. How do you not like plan ahead? One turn ahead for Curse Muck, the only possible way that Zing can win that game at that point. I think that was poor end game on Nerf's part. All right,
Yeah, I agree.
best DPL debut.
I'm gonna have to give it to a guy who actually lost in Sun Sun. If you guys don't know, he faced TCMTL, and he would have won if his Mew had landed 3 triple axles. And to come pretty damn close to being who I think is a pretty damn good player, I got to give props, even if he didn't win the game. So
I'm gonna have to give it to Economical. I think that was just a funny way to win. Honestly, that was fire. Vile playing the way he did with only a comfy Rotom Wash and Vileplume left to win that game against like a what was it, a Garchomp, a Primarina, a Slowbro, a Zapdos. Insane. That I respect that end game. Opposite of what Nerf did. All right. So biggest clown performance of week one. What do you think?
actually, I'm gonna bring up the same game he just brought up. I'm gonna have to give it to my own Captain Toxic. He talked a
Someone's
lot,
getting
man.
dropped at mids.
Hashtag pack watch, am I right? But anyways, yeah, he talked real big, man. And ultimately, he faced a guy who's completely brand new to the DPL spectrum, and he kind of got just outplayed at the end, unfortunately, which you hate to see. He gave his reasonings as to what happened, but I think it just ultimately came down to not playing well enough, unfortunately, for my guy.
I'm gonna have to give it to K Crick for biggest clown performance. You are I'm sorry, but how are you gonna you you win off of a timer win when you were without a doubt gonna lose after over predicting every single turn the entire game I was amazed. I was like, there's no way he's going to overpredict again. And then he does it again, over and over again. It was unbelievable that he refused to click the what's in front against what's in front of him on the first turn that it's there.
Yeah, it
And then
was
just
a
and
very
then
bizarre game.
claiming
Yeah.
the timer win at the end. What a clown. It was funny clown though, not like stupid, annoying,
Yeah, of
whatever
course.
clown.
I get you. Yeah.
Okay, now feelings on our own teams after this first week.
So I think my team ultimately put in a good amount of work. There were some guys who unfortunately didn't give a tremendous amount of like mocks and activity. I won't say who, but ultimately I do think these guys will probably come around. It is school for some of these people still, so I'm not going to ultimately blame them for it. But a lot of my guys put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of mocks and ultimately played really well when the game happened. So very proud of my team. Ultimately, I'm also proud of myself for obviously getting the win, even if the series was over. So I have a lot of high hopes for my team. I hope Hiker can like turn it around. Obviously, a really bad loss, but he also did kind of get lucked. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat about my team. We started the series 0-1 and brought it all the way to 6-1. So obviously that 0-1 start didn't fret us at all. We're a team of winners. Honestly, my team's pretty good. I think we are first seed caliber team. Yes, sir. I think we're better than your team, Josh.
Speaking of who's better than the other team, now we're going to give our perspective on each other's teams. So for Trick of I obviously think you guys are very talented. I think I Skyhorse are very two good players,
Correct.
and I think they're going to be pretty good captains as well.
Correct.
Aki is a walking W in auras
Correct.
in general for any tier he plays.
Correct.
Hunter, yeah,
Correct.
you're a walking W, yeah.
Correct.
Like, although I do have to admit, everybody below I think is hella questionable, especially BBEEAA for not exactly playing good at all. In fact, according to what I've been told from you, he kind of just I don't know played blindfolded. I don't know, dude. I don't know how you explain that
I don't know any
game
for sure.
but that's
How
what
he
I'm
played.
saying. Like you have a very solid, captain who can play every week, and then you and Aki, and then everybody below. I just don't trust. I don't trust the Smogon guy. I don't trust, Checkmate. Although Zugubo Royale, I did ultimately look into him. He had actually been pretty successful so far since last season. So you could argue he's a pretty good fourth player, but nonetheless, my point still stands. And ultimately, though, you did win very good. So,
I'm gonna
did look really
say
solid.
your team is a bunch of like unreliable at best, or not unreliable, but suspect. And here's why. Toxic is supposed to be one of your like more consistent players. He just lost against Economical, a debuter. Troy is suspect after I don't know what his deal is with this game. I don't know if he's done with it or not. He won pretty solid. No complaints about his week one. Just overall, I don't know if he's going to be consistently there all season type of situation. TDG is a 5K for a reason. Zing and Hiker Toad in the same boat. Previously great players. Zing should have lost. Hiker Toad did lose. I don't know how active they are. You would know that better than I would. Sharky, I think, is going to be one of your most consistent players and winners and active and everything. And then there's you. You're coming off of like a 30-month break, right? I don't know. It's been a while since you actually played. And last, I think 2 seasons you haven't been too hot, have you?
I think I've been like pretty much above, like maybe one game above 500 in the last 2 seasons. Maybe. I honestly don't remember.
That's why I'm concerned about the situation of your team. I think you have a lineup of people that used to win a lot. I don't know if they can still win today. That's what I have to say.
All right. Well, this goes up to our last topic, which is our week 2 predictions. We're going to start with the my team versus Wig. I obviously have my team winning. What about you?
Yeah, I have you guys winning 4-3.
I personally have us winning probably more the likes of 6-1, but
What?
I'm biased.
Hold on, the fact that you're not 7-0. I'm not
Nobody
gonna ask.
goes 7-0. Nobody goes 7-0. Like it's weird to go 7-0.
Well,
So
okay,
6-1.
Sure. Okay, well, moving on. Hungry Men versus Trick of Eye. I have Trick of Eye 7-0.
I think, if I recall, I think I have y'all winning 6-1 or 5-2, but I do have you guys winning as well, nonetheless.
Yeah. So after that, ghosting majorities versus Wings of Wrath. I actually have ghosting majorities winning 5-2.
I have them winning 5-2 as well, actually. Which is strange because I mean, Wings of Wrath showed to be very good, but they also had a very obviously very big comeback esque victory.
And then
And it goes to majorities. I think it's just more consistent.
I'm looking at the votes right now for that series. It's heavily in Wings of Wrath favor.
Yeah, it's 18-52 right now for the current.
And now Old Heads versus Danger Zone. Oh, this one's funny.
Yeah.
Not joking. Unironically, I have Danger Zone winning 4-3.
Me too. I have Danger Zone winning 4-3 as well. Ultimately, it's probably because I just think Renegade's not that good. I don't think he can really win for these guys. But I would like to see him prove me wrong. And, I think Danger Zone just has a better roster this week than the Old Heads.
Yep. Well, that's all we have. Join us next week when we continue to talk about our opinions that no one asked for.